everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to this gorgeous day here in the UK. The sun's shining and it's just lovely. So I want to thank everybody for their response about doing a mini series of using watercolours in colouring books, and I got really excited. I did one in Walk in the Woods off camera and posted it on Instagram. Absolutely loved it. I just really enjoyed the process. So I've got Circle of Life by Melpomeni, and I've got my Windsor & Newton Cotman paints. I just feel like they're more accessible to everyone. I mean, I was sent the Paul Rubens, and I was bought the Kuretake ones, but these have got all the colours in it we could possibly want, and if not, we can mix them. So I've got the paints. I'm going to put those here. I've got some water in front of me, and I've got 3 brushes. I've got a size 8, a size 6 and a size 4. So these ones are silver black velvet. I got them on a special deal on Amazon. They're very expensive paintbrushes, but I got them really cheap. Not really knowing what I was buying back then, but I'm really grateful to have them. And I've got a Windsor & Newton foundation brush which was gifted. And I absolutely love this brush. It's probably my favourite out of all of them because it just paints to such a fine point. They're all beautiful brushes, but... and then I've printed off the official names of the colours from Windsor & Newton, so I can tell you what they are. And then all that's left to do is show you the page that I've chosen, which is this one. So our 2 owls, and I just thought it would lend itself perfectly to doing this picture. So I'm going to try and organise my workspace so that you can see what I'm doing. I think it's probably more important that you see the mixing, if I mix anything. And I don't know what they are. I think that's probably a barn owl, but I've got 2 reference photographs next to me. And I think what we need to do is start by mixing up a very light beige, and obviously we don't have that in here. So I do believe if we took Van Dyke brown and some yellow, we might get that. So let's just try that. So a little bit of Van Dyke brown. Let me move the book over a minute. Like that. A little bit of Van Dyke brown. I want to make sure we mix enough. And a light yellow. So let's try lemon yellow hue. And all I need then is a piece of test paper to see if it is the colour. I've just dipped it in water. See if it's the colour I want. It's a bit too yellow, isn't it? I'm going to try the cadmium yellow pale to see if I can sort of tone that down a bit. I don't want to keep dipping it in water. Still too yellow. I wonder if we put a tiny touch of cobalt blue, if that would neutralise it a little bit. Let's see. No, completely wrong. I don't know how to mix it then. I've just looked up on the internet and it said take a brown, so a dark brown, maybe I've got too much of a reddy brown, and maybe I'm putting too much yellow in. Let's just try that. So that's the same mix, but more of the brown. It's still not light enough. Well, why don't we just go in, look, Cotman have white. Why don't we do that? Let's put some white in, instead of trying to be clever about it. If we've got white, let's use it. Why not, folks? I know sometimes it can make it a little chalky looking, but now that's more like it. That's more like the colour I wanted. Okay, so we've got, that's better, much better. I want that really pale colour. So we've got Van Dyke brown, and we've just put a little bit of white in it. Yeah, so stop trying to be so clever. Okay, let me think about this. So if we do this one first, I think, and I'm going to try this colour and see how it dries. And I'm going to put it round. So I'm using my number 8 brush at the moment. I'm going to put it around here and we'll see how that dries, because then we can go over it. But I just want to see what colour it turns on this paper, what happens. I've used water before. This is the same publisher that Kirby uses, Kirby Rosanne's. Did you know he's got a new book coming? Did you know that? He has, he's got a new book. Okay, love that. And we're going to put a little bit of that colour on the tips of the ears on this one before I run out, and we're going to come down here with it. I'm just looking at my reference picture, that's why I hope you can see. And then we're going to have a little bit of that. Let's cover the feathers and the face, and then we can come back in. So we want this bit done. Gosh, I hope I've mixed up enough paint. I want this bit done, and we'll do this bit like that. It seems to be drying quite a nice colour. Oh, it was a simple mix anyway, wasn't it? We changed our minds, so I'm just mixing a bit more up. Van Dyke brown and white. Let me just have a look, see if it's anywhere near. Oh, beautiful. Okay. So I want some on the feathers. That's a much nicer colour. I'm going over. That's much less yellow. So I'm going over. I don't know why it was so yellow when this one's lovely and creamy. So watercolours usually, from what I've learnt, dry lighter. So we have to let that dry, so we can't mess with it. So we've got to let it dry. It is colouring book paper. Let me have a look on the other side. So I can't even feel the wet there yet at the moment. This paper is just so awesome. So shall we just do, let's do, what's our lightest? Let's do a little bit of raw sienna, which is this one. The lighter one out of all of them is, I think, this one. Let me see. Yeah. So let's get a little bit of raw sienna. What's that one? Just want to try the one next to it. Looks very orangey, that one. That one, oh, that's even worse. So we're going to try a little bit of raw sienna, and I'm going to mix in that cadmium yellow hue. Oh dear. That is really bright, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so we're not going to do that. It's trying to get used to these. I've been using the Paul Rubens. We're going to go back in with raw sienna. Just plain raw sienna. I've been using the Paul Rubens, and the colours are probably exactly the same. Some very kind person, I won't name them in case they don't want me to, I don't know, was telling me not to worry about the colour name so much, it's the pigment name that you want. Anyway, I'm going to go in with raw sienna, and I am going to start on the tree, I think. So I'm going to put this in, and it's a watery version of it, so we're going to make these trees really dark in comparison to our owls, but I want this as our highlight colour. So like I said in the last video, if you watched it, I'm just thinking about it in terms of like a colouring book. Only we have to do it in layers instead of like being able to finish one branch at a time. So just covering the branch in raw sienna. if I shut up for a minute, you can hear the birds outside. I know it's a crow, but still. And then we can put some kind of lovely background in. When we've done these. Like this. I'm just filling it in like you would a colouring book. The only problem I have is that my hands are shaky, so I will put some pencil over this, just so we get that, because we're going to need some, well, I might, you know, it depends on how much detail I can do with paint, but it might need some pencil, we'll see. This one. So I'm just trying to get a base layer down of everything, and then watering that down. And then this can be our highlight colour. And then, sorry, then I'll go back in when it's dry and put more detail on it. And layer over the top. So, nice and simple, nothing complicated. We can do a little bit of colour blending for the background, hopefully. With more intense, more pigment, less water to get a really dark colour going. Like that. Is there any more branches, or have we done? A little bit under our owl here. And I want a little bit of beige in his tail feathers, the beige we mixed up there. Alright, so what's lovely about this picture is we can layer up our owls, but also there's just leaves, there's no flowers, so we can just pick beautiful greens. My favourite in this set is the sap green, this one here, sap green. And I absolutely love it. It's gorgeous. So we're just going to use different greens. Let me get a bit more of colour on there. And I might switch to a smaller brush. So I might take my Windsor & Newton one. And we're just going to go in and we're going to pick these straightforward leaves and put this beautiful sap green on it. Like that. I don't know how long the paper will take to dry. I might have to go off because I want to let it dry naturally. I do have a heat gun, but excuse me, let me get a drink. I do have a heat gun, but I do find that it makes the page curl up. And I think just with heat, I mean, even if you just put heat on a page with no water on it, it tends to sort of wrinkle and curl. I don't know the chemistry behind it, but so I'm going to do, there's quite a lot of these, isn't there? These straightforward leaves. And then we've just got those ones with the pattern in that we could put some different colours in. And see how that goes. So I'm going to move my paints out of the way. Let me oops, I'll try and get organised a little bit better, centralise you a bit and bring you in, and then I'll probably have to go off and do it because you're going to have to sit here for a million years watching me paint leaves. I tell you what, I am having the time of my life though. Having left work, I'm having an absolute blast. Sorry. I've been making little clay bits. I've been watercolouring. I've been, what else have I been doing? Just not feeling stressed. It's just absolute bliss, folks. I'm loving it. So I'm going to make some little bits and bobs that eventually I'll be able to sell in on my Patreon, little shop on Patreon. I'll let you know if and when that happens. You know, you know what I'm like. I really worry about things, and if I was going to sell something, it would have to be absolutely perfect. So we'll see how that goes. But hopefully it'd be really nice to be able to do that. And I was thinking of making, not like Rebecca's paints, like the Art Spirits paints. I was thinking of making my own watercolours and gouache, and then selling a sort of little set of those, but really cheap. I don't, you know, a lot cheaper, to try and sort of, and then I can send some to Rebecca and she can test them out for me. Just flat ones, matte ones, not sparkly, glittery ones, just straightforward paints that are high in pigment and light fast and all those kind of jazz, but trying to, if you cut out all the middleman and all the fanciness, I mean, after all, it's the paints that we want, isn't it? So if we cut out all of that, could I, you know, make them cheaper? Then, I mean, I purchased a paint on Etsy, a handmade paint on Etsy, and just for one it was £5. So I don't know if I could, I don't know, I have to look into it a bit more. I have been looking at the binders and all the bits and bobs you have to put in them, but I would really love that, to have my own watercolours. Wouldn't that be cool? And you could name them yourself. But I think it's all like the same pigments and things. So we're getting there now. So I'm literally just dropping the colour in. Trying to stay within the lines as much as I can. But the background I think we're going to do dark. And just seeing what it dries like. So that's drying a really lovely colour, that beige we mixed up, that soft beige. However, if you look at the background and the owl, they're not going to be that much different at the minute. It'll only be when I do the detail on the bark that'll, hopefully they'll look different. So I think I'll make the tree darker. And then we can put some different colour on these leaves, all this kind of jazz. I've just put my hand in the raw sienna. I think I've covered, oh no, there's a couple of little ones up here. A couple of little ones there that I haven't done. Is that it? I think so. Okay, then I need a different green then, don't I? Or a different colour. I might leave those leaves. That's a mouthful. Leave those leaves until we've done the background, maybe. See what colour we could do those. Just doing that raw sienna. Here, look, I missed a branch. Bit of branch. Here and here. Oh, I've got my window open. It smells like someone's barbecuing already. Do you know what? It's 8 o'clock in the morning, but I can smell it. Who'd be barbecuing at 8 o'clock in the morning? What a weird thing to do. Well, I suppose if you fancy a burger at 8 in the morning, who am I to say you can't have one? Oh dear. Okay, I'm going to go off and I'm going to let that dry completely. Just putting my brush on there. I'm going to let that dry completely. Oops. There it is, our image so far. Very flat, nothing to it. And then when that's dried completely, air dried, I will come back and we will, we've got to put the background in and do the leaf details. So I will see you in a second. Okay, Page is completely dry, and because we're using hardly any water, there's no crinkles. It's absolutely brilliant. I love it. So let's put some detailing in. So both of them have got some dark browns in. This one's more red, got more red in it, and this one's paler. So we can go back in with the same colours and go back over again. That'll darken it up, or we can use some darker ones. I think let's try. I'm just gonna go with it. I'm gonna go in with that Van Dyke brown, I think, again, and I'm gonna mix a bit of, well, get some on my palette like that. A bit more pigment in it, more than water, and let's see how that comes out. So I'm going in with my teeny tiny brush here, and I'm going to go in and put some little dark spots around here. It's just so cool. I just love how it looks. I love the fact that it doesn't hurt my hands. I mean, I'm never going to give up colouring. I love colouring. But it is honestly a newfound love, I think. The only thing that is very frustrating is not being able to draw myself. I wish I could. So I can do the landscapes because they're kind of easier, aren't they? You know, I can do those in watercolour, and but to do anything else, I'm just hopeless. I can do leaf shapes with my brush. I've been looking at tutorials and stuff, watching that, and I think, you know, people say that it is something that is learned, and I've heard a lot of people say it's something that is learned and not just a natural talent, but I think there has to be a degree of talent in there to be able to do it. What do you think? Okay, what colour is his eyes? I'm going to leave that for now. We are going to come in and put some, let's put some shadow in these wings. So I'm going to move you over because I'm just going to continue with the Van Dyke brown. And we're going to put some shadowing, very similar to the same as what we'd do if we were colouring. So I'm going to come in on the edge of each of these wings and make them a bit darker. Kind of come out where we've got that shape, that shadow. And don't forget that this will dry, I hope you can see, I hope this will dry lighter, and then we can go in even darker. But let's bring out those feathers. And we're not going for realism, I'm using the picture, I'm just colouring the picture, but in a much quicker, easier method. But please don't get me wrong, I absolutely still love my colouring, and it's not going to be going anywhere. We've got lots of books from all the gifts that I've been sent, and I've got more that have arrived. And yeah, so it's not going anywhere anytime soon, but this has just been an absolute blessing in disguise that, you know, this, to discover that you can, well, I knew that you could, but I always did pencil over the top. And I, you know, probably still do that, but it's just lovely to be able to put these details and things in and just leave it be. Okay, we want some in the feathers here, so in these little dark bits. So I'm going to put some more Van Dyke brown into that mix. Bit more water. And the more water we have, the lighter the colour will be. And then we're going to just drop it in here. Just going to dab that off on a I've got a cloth next to me, so I'm just dabbing it off and then letting my brush soak that up, because there's like a little pool of water there. There we go. And then just put those in the top. Have you ever tried this, folks? I know a lot of you that follow me will have done it, but usually I would have, before I discovered watercolouring, I would have just gone in and just done this beige all over it and then got in with pencils, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. In fact, I do it in Romantic Country in our members group because the paper is so horrible to colour on. And I put a wet wash of just water over it and then let it dry, and it brings out the tooth of the paper. And so this now has got a different texture to the rest of the paper, which is quite smooth. So when you do go over it with pencil, it's so easy to colour. So I'm gonna make sure that these bits under here are darker. And I'm just literally following. I'll put a bit more water there. Literally just following the design. And I'm just trying to think, do we want a different colour? So I'm going to keep going with the dark, and I'm going to make it very dark underneath these bits, like you would if you were using a pencil, and just sort of bring that down with your paintbrush. And it's just lovely to be able to take your time. I'm going to make it a bit darker here. Right, well, pull that down a bit. And then we can go in as many times as we want with different colours. Okay. So I want right, I need a different colour for I want like a grey, I think. So what about Payne's grey? So I'm just trying to work out where Payne's grey is on my palette. So if we go back from blacks, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, there it is. So if I put that there, it's a beautiful bluey grey. I don't want it too dark, so I'm just going to make a watery wash of it. Sorry, you can't see, I've moved my palette over, haven't I? I'm just making a watery wash of Payne's grey, and we're going to put some detailing in around that face. There we go. And I'm going to put some around his beak here. Just delicate little strokes in around his beak. And if you get too much water, I just dry it off on my cloth and then let the brush pick it back up. And then you can like pull it out a bit. Okay, where do I want some down around here, I think, around his eyes. Let's put some in there. Bring that down. Just sort of following those lines and bringing that out. It'll dry, should dry quite light, hopefully. I'm just trying to bring out some shadow on him so that we can leave that, the rest of that quite white. There we go. And step away while the going's good. Okay. We'll have some down here on his tail. Some of this Payne's grey under here. Into that lovely beige that we mixed. Put that in. And we'll put some on these feathers and go over that. Just go over those Van Dyke brown that we put in some places. I'll just darken it up and it will just sort of add to that featheriness. Like that. We can put some on these ones. That's a big sigh. So I've got myself, while I was waiting, I put my washing on, got myself a cup of tea. I'm really thirsty, I don't know why. And I've just been absolutely loving life, people, just loving it. Okay, so I'm going to try now mixing. We'll see what happens here. I'm going to try mixing a little bit of the Van Dyke Brown. I'll just put it on there. Here, Van Dyke Brown and a little bit of Payne's Grey. So we're going to get like this really dark. Look at that. It's going to come out, let's see, our scrap of paper. Like really dark dark brown. Love it, that's gorgeous. Okay, so I'm going to move the page over and round like we do just when we're colouring. I think I'm going to put a little bit round his eyes with this dark. I might need a bit of water because that is like scarily dark. I'm just going to put a little bit round there. I don't know what I'm turning him into, some kind of owl. I don't know what kind of owl. Right, so I've got too much water. I'm going to dab it with my cloth just to lighten him up. I just don't want him to sit in, you know, pools of water sitting on the book. And then if we have gone too dark, I can always put a white pencil over the top. So I want more of this dark here. So let's pick out these little, can you see? Yeah, I'm just picking out these little dark spots that Melpomeni's put in. Just that gives him that character. And then this one has got a lot more red colour in it, so we can use some beautiful like earthy tones, and this set's got some lovely colours in it that we don't have to mix. It's nice just to pick up the palette and just go, isn't it? It's good to learn to mix though, I think, because like that beige, I would have done it even lighter, but obviously getting it right. And so it's good to practice, because you can become very reliant on just your own brought palette, you know, already mixed ones. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, but it is nice if you want a new colour to be able to just do it without having to think about it. So we're going to put some in the tail feathers too. I need to move this palette. Oh, I can take that off. Oh, that's better. I need to swap sides for a minute so I can get to this tail. And I want some very dark brown in there, and coming down here. This is why I love this brush, because it just does such delicate, and these are really cheap brushes. I know I keep saying about it, but I don't think I've ever had a brush that performs as well as this one for little tiny spaces. It's beginning to come together. It does take a while. It's like colouring. It still takes quite a while, but there we go. And then if we come back up to his little face, and we go right around this edge here, we're going to have to put some colour on his body too. He needs more colour on there, and obviously his eyes. What colour are his eyes? Like a dark. I don't want to go too dark in there, otherwise. So Just coming all around that feathery bit that we did, just on the inside here. Okay. What about his beak? What colour is his beak? His beak is black, so that might help if we put his black beak in. So which black do I want? I want the black one. Gosh, that's scary. Okay. Just gonna come. Okay, I'm gonna have to leave it to dry. That edge is, the edge of the brown is still wet, so I'm just going to dab it off and we'll come back to it. That's the, that's what you have to do, is wait. If you try and go over things too quickly, it'll just sort of smudge in and run together and just ruin everything. So put some on his tail, and now we need a colour for his body. So I think he needs a tiny bit of red. I think we go in with, I reckon we're going to go in with light red. I think. Which must be this end one here. So I'll move you back over. I think we'll go in with this, which is a light red. Let me put it on up here. Isn't that pretty? And then we'll mix a tiny bit of that Van Dyke brown in there, just to deepen that up. And then let's see what colour we get. Oh yeah, that's nice, look at that. Beautiful. Okay, scary part, scary part. We need some of this in. So why don't we just pull out these feathers. And there's nothing to worry about there. If it's too red, we can. I am going to put a bit more brown in it. It is very red. We can go back over it with. I'm just mixing it with a bit more Van Dyke brown. We can go over that with. That's better. So we'll put some of this around his wing. Bring that out. I'm going to go over that while it's wet and try and just sort of knock that back. But that could be our shadowy side, it doesn't matter. Right, I need to leave it alone while I let it dry. Okay. And then so just like we do with ink tents, I'm just blotting off my brush, and that way then I can lessen out the colour that we've got on the brush and it will get lighter and lighter on the page. That's what I'm doing anyway. And I'm just going to pull that out, that edge out. Okay, and I'm going to go back in with some straight Van Dyke brown. I'll sort this out in a minute. I'm going to take some white first, I think, and I'm going to knock this colour back. That white is an incredible eraser. Oh, got paint stuck to my hand. So I'm just knocking it back with a bit of white. It's too dark. And then we'll have to let it dry. I think that'll work though. Okay, I have to leave it. It's to remember that we're on colouring book paper. I think that'll work. I think it will look really cool. We'll have to put a little bit more detail in him. And we've got the eyes to do. This one is has got much more of the reds in it. So I think if we start with maybe let's start with, oh, that was Indian red. Let's start with light red. Sorry, that was Indian red. Let's start with light red. Ooh, that's pretty, look. Ooh. But possibly a little bit too red. So we'll put that, some Van Dyke brown in there too. And let's just check before I put it on my owl. Yeah, like that. Okay, right, let me get my picture. Where has he got red? Okay. I don't know if this is the same owl or, but they'll probably end up looking the same. Gonna put a little bit up here. Round that eye, a little bit round this eye. Just clean my brush off, dry my brush off, just so I can push that, pull that out. And then we want some more of that. Let's see. He's got a white bit under his beak, and then we'll have some coming up here. And we'll put detailing over him. He's just, this is just getting that colour down. And then we might go back to that, the raw sienna, and just do some layers of that, I think, first. So let me get the raw sienna. So just straight raw sienna. And we will, let's put some up here. Oh, too much water. Put some up here, and we're going to blend in that red. With the raw sienna. And we're going to do the same round at that eye. And what we should do is, because we're layering it, we should get just a deeper version of what we'd already put down. Here we go, it's coming. So around these little puffy bits here, he's got like yellowy bits. His head is darker. The tops of his ears are like this sort of colour. And a bit down, that comes down there like that. And then feather details. Okay, so let's do, like we did with the other bird, let's pull out, so we're going to go darker with the raw sienna on, I'll bring you in so you can see. There we go. So on one side, I'm just going to go darker with the raw sienna. And we'll see how it dries, because we're going to go in with some dark browns and put his shades in, put his shadows in. I don't know why, but I'm feeling all anxious about being on camera and doing it. I think it's probably because it's watercolour and not just pencils. But I had such a lovely response from people that really want to do it in their colouring books. And it scares them. Okay, so I'm taking a bit of raw sienna. And I'm going to mix a tiny bit of Payne's Grey in there. Tiny bit. Like, just touched it to the Payne's Grey. Just check that is Payne's Grey. Yeah, so literally I'm going to wash my brush off. I'm going to take a tiny bit and we're going to put it in there. I'm just going to darken that raw sienna up. Just a little bit more. Just so we get some different variation in it. Okay, so let's put some under here, see what that comes out like. So I'm just sort of dropping it in. Just dropping it in, see what happens on just on his feathers. We'll put some on here, down here, like that. Okay, so I know he looks rubbish now, but we've still got quite a way to go. He's got quite a lot of detail on him in this one, and he's very wet. So let's come back to our leaves. If we do these, I'm going to just take straightforward sap green again, and I'm going to put, you guessed it, a bit of Payne's grey in there and make it a bit darker to make sure I've got enough. Oh, that's very dark. That's alright. Oh, you can't see. It's because I'm so zoomed in. I'll come out a bit. I keep losing you. Okay, so I've got a really dark, just Payne's grey and sap green mix. Let's see. Quite like that. Look at that. Okay, and we're just going to, like we would if we were colouring, I'm just going to go on the bottom and get rid of some of the water and just drop some of that in. Can you see? Yeah. Dry my brush off again and pull that water out, look. I think it's because I've been used to doing it on watercolour paper, and I think I'm just adding a little bit too much water to my mixes. Okay. Still haven't decided what we're going to do with that other leaf yet. So this should be nice and should blend really well together with that, because it's a mixed from the sap green, so it shouldn't look too odd a mix. I'm just blending that out because it's just sitting there in a little pool of water. And then you can add a third colour if you want when this one's dry. It's up to you what you want to do. So many possibilities. Like, we could add some yellow, we could add a bit of red, and then so I'm just going to do all these leaves while I'm waiting for owl number 2 to dry, and then owl number 1 should be dry as well, and then we can go back over them. Owl number 1, owl number 2 looks very orange, so we're going to have to tone him down a bit. Okay, I'm going to go off and finish just putting some darker sap green and Payne's grey into my leaves to change that up, and then we'll meet back up when that's dry. I'll see you in a second. Okay, we're drying. I've done the leaves. I'm not sure that they might be dry. And I've smudged it. I put my hand straight in it at the top here and smudged it, but we're going to go in really dark blue on the background anyway. So we need to do a little bit more work on our little orange owl here, and he has black detailing, so I'm just making my brush damp, and then I'm putting it straight into the darkest black, which is the lamp black, without diluting it, and just making sure that I've got a nice point on the end of my paintbrush, and I'm just sort of rolling it round on that palette to make sure that I've got a nice point on it. And then if this doesn't work, we can do it in pencil, but this little owl I am having black bits on him. I don't know if this is the right owl or not, but this is how I'm doing my owl. Should we come in a bit so you can see? I'm trying to make it as simple as possible, but Melpomeni's pages are not the simplest, are they? So it's going to take some time. And then we'll do the same over here. Like that. And then we'll take a little bit more black paint, and he has got this bit round here is black, and also there's black round his eyes. So there's a little bit of, let's do round here. Let's bring that out. Can you see? So there's a little bit of black here, and we can always neaten that up with a bit of pencil if we need to. And then this bit round here is also black. So I'm just coming straight off the pan. I'm not adding any more water to my brush or anything, I'm just straight off the pan. And his beak is black, but we'll need a bit of Payne's grey towards the centre when the black is dry. And there's a bit of black around here. And that joins up then with this bit. I'm obviously much better with the left side of the page than I am the right at doing finer details. I think it's because I'm not turning my book about. But we'll just bring some of that black out here, just a little bit, and then a nice black bit round that eye. Round there. Got to try and pull that out a bit. Clean my brush off. Keep cleaning my brush off like you do with ink tents, and then so we don't have, you know, we can fade it away instead of it just being a black blob. Let's just fade that out into that. Perhaps I need a little tiny bit over here. Bit more over there. Okay, we'll stop there. Alright, I've just wet my brush and dried it off so it's damp, and I'm just going to see, this paper might not, but I'm just going to see if I could lift some of it, because it's got, that's better. Just lift it out a little bit. Okay, so he's got a bit round his beak. Then he's got, let's go Van Dyke Brown again. I really like the Van Dyke Brown, in case you couldn't guess. Van Dyke Brown. And I'm going to mix a little bit of that black in. Just a tiny bit. Make it really dark brown. But it should be a little bit different to him, because I've mixed black instead of Payne's grey. We'll see what happens. And where are we going? So he's got black bits up here and then red, but I want a different kind of red. So let's start on his wings and make those wings dark. I'll pull out round the shading that we've been given. I'll tell you what, it's quite hard to explain. I don't know what the difference is between, perhaps it's because it's faster between doing this and my colouring. Perhaps it's just that it's a lot faster. Okay, so I'm going to dry my brush off now, and then I'm just going to soften those edges. Just so that it's not such harsh lines and it can blend out a little bit like that. Yeah, so it could be that it's just that it's faster, or that I'm feeling a bit anxious about doing it because it's new to me as well. I don't know. So I'm just going to drop some of this dark in where Melpomeni has indicated. Aren't I doing well with her name? Where she's indicated that there is dark, and we'll put some in those ears as well. Put some up here around those ears, and on the top of his head he's got some. So let's just put, it's not everywhere, it's got like little indications of dark in there. So we'll just drop a few little bits of that in. Like that. Then I'm just going to dry my brush off and soften it out a little bit. Okay, we're going to put some around that, go over that black a little bit, if I can get some on my brush. Just come out a little bit there. It's drying up really fast. It's because it's such a warm, lovely day in the UK. We've had a beautiful week this week. It's been really lovely. And I think it's set to stay on the whole. Okay, he's going a little dark, so I might need pencil to lift that out. So what do we have? Van Dyke Brown. I'm just mixing a bit more. Van Dyke Brown. And we had a little bit of that black. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so we'll carry on with these feathers. And then he needs more red in him as well, I think. And a bit of detailing here. I know I keep going backwards and forwards, but I'm just dropping that in there. And then anywhere that I've messed up, like I've gone too dark around his eyes, I'll put pencil over. And we'll hide that quite easily, I think, I hope. Like here, his face, I need more white in there. So I can grab some pencil and just do that. And then we'll put a few indications of this dark just dropped in there, just a little bit. And then just keep working on his feathers. I don't think we've got too much to do to our other owl, but we need the black on the beak. And then we're going to have to go even darker on some of these feathers for this one. And then I've got to try and do the tree and try and mix a different brown. I thought this would be quite a straightforward, you know, quite easy one, but I should have known that her pages are quite intricate. And it was going to take me a whole lot longer than I thought. Should have known. I hope you don't mind spending some time with me. I know you probably have already clicked off by now, most people, of boredom. Right, now I want some dark up here on these ones. I'm just sort of roughly throwing it in there really. And then we want this colour, and then we're gonna have some black detailing in there as well. So I'm just throwing that in, following Melpomeni's lines on this, just so we get some texture. Make him a bit dark on the edge. That way he looks like he's got a round body instead of a flat one. I tell you what, it's a whole lot easier to do it on watercolour paper because you can lift it, you can, you know, if you make a mistake, you can lift it out quite easily. I'm just going to put a bit more dark up here. A bit more into that red here. Okay. Right, is there anywhere else? Right, his beak. No, I don't think so. Okay, what we're going to do now then? I think we'll start, while that dries, we will take a white pencil. I think I'm going to take a white pencil, white Prisma, and let's see if I can bring back some of this white in here for a minute. Let's see what happens. So I'm just going to just really lightly. Yeah, that works, looks. Oh, you got to love a Prisma. That actually looks really cool. It's knocking back some of that grey that I put in, but we still, you know, get to keep the colour. It's just knocking it back slightly. There we go. Is there anywhere else that we might like some white? We could bring out some of these, bring out some feathers. I think he'll look better when his eyes are done. And we'll bring out some white on the tail. Should we do the background and then do the tree? Should we be brave? Okay, I'm going to put the white pencil down then. Let's, before we do before we do the whole page, let's do the background. Why not? Okay, so I am going to take indigo. I've got to find indigo first. Which one is it? Indigo is 1, 2, 3. They all look the same. They all look black when they're dry. Yeah. Is that indigo? Don't think that's indigo. No, that's a... Oh, 4. There's indigo. So got a black. There's indigo. That's indigo. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's so hard to tell when the pans are dry. Right, I'm just mixing up enough of that indigo. Okay, and I'm going to switch back to my number 8 brush, and we're going to start. Okay, am I going to smudge anything? I'm going to start here. We're all dry, and I'm going to go in with this indigo. So I've got quite a concentrated mix of it. I've just wiped off my brush a bit. So this could take some time, and we might have to do more than one coat. We'll see how it dries. And my idea is The plan, folks, the plan is as we get to the bottom it will be lighter. Missed a leaf there. I'm just pulling some paint off of that first bit that I put down. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got to make sure I get the right colour. Okay, so I've got a little wrinkle going on my page, but nothing incredible. I'll show you when it's dry. When we've finished, I'll let you see how it's come on. This is going to take some time. So I think I'm going to, I don't know, I'm going to go off and paint the indigo, and I'll stop where I want it lighter, and then I'll meet back up before I put the lighter part in and show you. Alright, see you in a second. So I just thought I'd pop back on and show you just how it's evolving. This is all indigo. So what I've done here is gone in straight neat with a tiny bit of water on my brush just to pull it straight off the pan, and then I just go in with it as dark as it can possibly be, you know, the most pigment I can possibly pull off the pan round this edge. Got to lean over to see. I've gone over a few leaves and things, but sorry, concentrating. And what's happening is we're getting this kind of natural gradient. So I'm pulling it straight off the pan here, straight out of the, yeah, straight off the pan. Tiny bit of water just to make sure that like the brush doesn't stick when you run over it. Let me just show you, and then I need to get to a point, a natural point where I can stop, otherwise you get like those. You get like streaks and stuff. So if I can bring it round here, just tuck him. It's going to take quite some time, folks. Okay, so I'm going to bring it in here, and then on the palette that we used when we used earlier, I've got a tiny bit of water with it. So I'm going to rinse my brush off so it's not got too much on there, and then blot it on the damp towel. And then go straight back into that watery paint and come in down here from the neat indigo to our slightly watered down indigo, and I'm taking the most pigment I can pick up out of that watery version. And then what happens is, as I get further and further down here with my paintbrush, you get less pigment on it, and so we get lighter. And then I just revisited spots and put some dark, you know, if it got too light, just drop some darker stuff in it. I just wanted to show you what I was doing. And I actually don't think, we'll put some stars and things in, we'll see how it dries, but I think by doing this, you know, like I've got a few streaky bits there, so I'm going to go straight back into the darkest indigo and just drop some in there. And I quite like this sort of mottled, this mottled look round them. And then go back to my watery version and then if we come down here and use my watered down version, just dried off my cloth a bit, and then I think some of the details I think we're going to have to do in pencil, but that's okay, that'll be nice. Like this. So then what will happen is, as we get further and further down here, see, this is why I like this brush, because it holds a bit of water, and you can get this gradient just happens by itself because it gets less and less paint on the brush. So you just kind of get these just natural gradients. So if I follow this area, like one area at a time, and I follow this area, by the time I get to the bottom it'll be much lighter than it was at the top here. Can you see that? So we just kind of getting this, just going to move that bit of pigment around there. Just kind of getting this mottled, natural watercolour gradient. So I will keep going with that and fill that in, and I'll let you know how it goes when I come back. See you in a minute. Alright, I think we're dry enough to carry on. I love how the background came out with this softer, it's all, like I say, it was all indigo, and I love how it turned out. So we're going to have a look at these leaves, and I think I'm going to make them like a golden colour with two of our colours. I'm going to use, let me see, I'm going to use yellow ochre, bring the palette over here, yellow ochre. Actually, that's probably not the best brush to try and mix with, is your very best pointy brush. Very favouriteest brush. So yellow ochre, just get enough of that pigment in there. And I want cadmium yellow pale on this bit of the palette. It's a beautiful colour, isn't it? So what I'm thinking is that we do the inside bit of the leaf, the tiny hard bit, if I bring you in so you can see, and we're going to put some stars on here. So if we do the yellow, yellow ochre, I think, on these tiny bits in here, and maybe just a little hint of it at the bottom, like this, like we would if we were colouring, I suppose. Bring out the, like this, bring out those different hues. And then fill in that centre bit. Clean off my brush, and then get that cadmium yellow, I think, and we'll try dropping that in. Nice and bright. Can you see? Yeah, thank goodness. Can't pick my yellow up. And you're just going to have to be really careful and avoid that sky. Like I say, I might go in with some pencil detail, but we'll see how that does. And then what else have we got? Let's have a look at our colour chart. I might drop a little tiny bit of Indian red. The trouble with this palette is trying to find everything. I think Indian red, if that's 30, I think it's this one. Is that? No, maybe not. Is it that one? Yeah. I might drop just a tad while it's wet of Indian red in the bottom there and just let it run out. Hand flick there, of course. Yeah, like that. And then just let it do its own thing. Okay, let's do another one quick. So we want, let's go in with our dark one first, which was yellow ochre. We'll drop that in. Put a little bit around the base. Oh gosh, I'm going to have to be really careful here. Dry my brush off and get the yellow. I'll get enough of that yellow to show up. I need some more. I want it nice and bright. Okay, and I'm just going to ignore the parts that I've gone over with. It's too scary. And then a little bit of that, I think It's either light red or Indian red. Hang on. Indian red. Okay, and I'm just going to, while that's wet, just drop that in and let that spread out by itself. Let it do its own thing. And then let it dry like that. We'll see what happens with that. I think it might look quite effective, hopefully. Might need a bit more colour in this one, because it might get a bit washed out. We can sort of just enhance that red. It'll pick out the colours then from our owl. Alright, so that's, I think I will do those. And that one's got a bit too much colour. There we go. Alright, we need to go back to this scary looking owl up here. Look at him. So I've got some Prismas. I'm going to try with Prismas that I'm just going to squash him over so I don't put my hand in that wet paint. So I've got eggshell and beige. I've obviously got black. And I'm just going to try and blend out this face. It's a bit much, I think. So I'm going to go in with eggshell. I'm going to go over that paint. We'll fix it in a minute. Let's just even up his eyes. Okay. And then we've got the beige. Let's pull in the beige. I've just put my hand in that leaf. Bit of beige up here. And then we've got the black. So I want to tidy up round the eye with a bit of black. Like this. I'm going to make, I'll do the pupils afterwards. I'm going to tidy up his beak. Just a little bit more fluffage around there, although I didn't do too bad a job. And then some more, just some black fuzz in here. To breach that gap. Alright, on his feathers now, he has got like these bits. I'm going to do black and just pull it up. So I'm going to do that little bit and pull it up like a little comet. And then these bits on his wings are black too. I can't, there's no way that I would be able to, with my hands, do that kind of fine detail, I don't think, with a paintbrush. I mean, I did the best I could. But I like the mixed media thing. I love the watercolour background, and I don't intend to change that. We are going to put some stars in there. But I do like the mixed media thing, and there is nothing wrong with getting out different supplies and using them. Put some black in that tail. And we'll bring out a little bit of that beige as well. Okay, now on the wings here, I'm going to make these bits dark. Let's really bring out that wing texture there. I don't want to do too much colouring, but at the same time, I want him to have details. And we can just sharpen up those wings like that and bring out the detail on these. Put a bit of beige in there where I've missed. So My quick page has been hours. I've been at this for hours. I said to you it was 8 o'clock. Yes, I've waited for the page to dry, didn't I? I said when we started it was 8 o'clock, I think I remember saying. Because I said about someone's barbecue. It's 11 now. So just to give you an idea of time span, what have I done? I've gone off and changed hung the washing on the line while the page dries. So probably about, if we take 30 minutes off of that for faffing about around the house while the page dries, 30 minutes off of that, that's a long time. Okay, let's deepen these up. And you can have a few more dark bits. We can darken it round there. A few more drops of black in there. And then we've done this bit, but I'm just gonna squiggle that in there, just very lightly. It's got like these ripply bits. And then I don't know what's here because I can't really see, but we're going to put some black in. Just some like lines of black. I think he's looking better already. And we can turn our attention back to those leaves and see how they look in a minute. He's got black up here. And no, we've done that. I'm just dropping this black in places because he's got quite a few like black speckledy bits on him. Whatever bird it is that I'm looking at. I don't think it's a horned owl, is it? Back to beige. I'll put all the colours I used on the screen and leave them up throughout the video. Just so they're all there. I'm going to go back to eggshell. Put a bit of that in. It's a lovely colour for this owl. Okay. And I think we can leave him alone. Apart from the eyes, obviously. But I'm going to try and do that in a minute. His eyes are an intense orange. So shall we pick an orange? Shall we be brave? What orange have we got? Let's have a look. We have got... Let's go in with cadmium orange hue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a very bright orange. Let me just have a look on our piece of paper. Well, that'll do. And then we could always then darken it up. So I'm just going straight neat off of the pan. Oh. So okay, so they're very intense at the top, around here. Dropping that in and being brave about it. Okay, and then this one, and then they need a yellow to blend in. Like this. So we need a bright yellow. What's our brightest yellow? Cadmium yellow hue. Looks quite bright, is it? Let's have a look at that one. It's got a bit of contamination in there, so I have to clear it off. Oh yeah, lovely. So cadmium yellow hue. And then I'm kind of just going to drop that in and let it bleed in. There we go. Very intense owly eyes. Whereas this one's eyes are much more of like a chocolatey warm brown. So I reckon we go for burnt umber. Let's do a bit of burnt umber. A bit of burnt umber in there. And a little bit of, let's put some of that Indian red in there. Let's see what that comes out like. So burnt umber and Indian red. No. I think we need more of a... What about light red? Let's try that. Trying the light red. Ooh, light red. And then mix that with a tiny bit of brown, I think. So if we go in with Van Dyke brown, that seems to work really well with everything on this page. A little bit of Van Dyke brown. Darker. That's more like it. So we've got a chocolatey. So what did I say? Light red and Van Dyke brown. And let's try and do his eyes. Okay. So we're dropping it in there. Oh, something's wet. Is it the background, I think? Dropping that in there. See me shaking. So the minute I think about having to control it. Okay, I'm wiping off my paintbrush and I'm just going to draw that colour out. Just so it's lighter at the bottom. We get that lovely chocolatey highlight there. There we go. Oh, I'm quite pleased with that. I'm quite pleased with that. So it's still got that sort of orangey look, but okay. He needs a black beak. Put a bit of that black in. And then on both of them I'm just going to really lightly touch that black up to come up. Okay. Now he's got a few tufts of black here. And his beak, oh, his background's still wet there. His beak kind of extends up here like this. And then we've done the background there. I'm not going to mess with that. He's got a few little black marks on his feathers. So we'll drop a few black bits in. You'd be surprised how much different that changes things. I'm not gonna do too much on him because I really like how he's turned out. Just we can darken up. Let's move that paint out of the way. Darken up just round his wing. So I'm just deliberately minimising the pencils that I'm using. Okay, we'll have a little bit of dark here. We can put some speckles in of dark there and make him dark up there. We can bring that, just tidy that up a little bit around there. And then I might bring some Posca in, because I don't mind on this bit, because if the grey bleeds through, that's okay. Let me get my Posca. Is that going to be an impossible task to ask? No, I've been a good girl. I've put it back in my pot where it should be. Okay. I'm flicking out some white on him. And he also needs some white on his body, so I don't mind if the white paint pen doesn't stay white. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm trying to say? You know, like sometimes it will soak up the colour. We're going to put some white. I'm trying to stick to the direction of his feather. We're going to put some white in here. Now I've got for the background, I've got Dr. Martin's pH, this one. brought it specifically for doing my watercolours. Bleed Proof White, Dr. Martens. I'm going to use that to do the stars. But let's just brighten him up a bit. He's got too much black on him. Let's get some of that gone. And we can do that, you know, where we put the white pencil, we can put that in there. Bring that out. He's looking better. A little bit in these feathers. I don't know what to do with his feet yet. His face is still bothering me, so I'm going to let that dry, and I think he could do with a little bit of eggshell in his face. Let's do that. Yeah, there we go. That's better. Just a little bit of eggshell. Look at the difference that makes. Gosh, I don't know how long this video is going to be. I hope you don't mind. Alright. There we go. Our leaves are relatively dry, so I am now going to chuck in some beige and bring out that centre. I don't even know if we'll be able to see it. That'll cover up any blues, hopefully, then, that I've gone over. And we could, just one more pencil, just because I need to. I need to, folks. I want, what do I want? No, I want the, I was looking at the brown, sienna brown, I want this one. Burnt ochre. Because it's got that reddy hue to it. And we're just going to bring that up. And that's it for that part. Just tidying it up, smoothing it out, moving on. Back to that, I've picked up beige now. It should be eggshell. There we go. I'm just tidying it up, that's all. I don't want to... There we go. And then I'm just going to step away, she says. So over here. And leave that centre light. There we go. Alright, so let's come out and have a look where we are now. This is probably about 3 hours long by the time I've finished. I bet it is. Okay, I love it. I think it's so pretty. Such a beautiful page. Okay, I'm going to go and do all those leaves, and then we're going to come back and do the final element, which is the trees, and then some star dots. See you in a sec. I've done all the golden leaves. I want to do some more work on this little guy now, so I'm going to take my white Posca again. I had a look at the video, it's not that bad. It's 1 hour and something. So I want to put some white bits in him. I think it's really important that this one has. So I'm kind of following underneath those black bits and putting some white in. Just like in little V's, and just pulling it up around that black. And some little ruffles there. Like that. And we need some on the wings too. So let's bring out some white on this side, avoiding those dark marks. You know, the dark lines that Melpomeni has put in. Some on the tail. keep going on those wings. I don't know what to do about that. I think we might have to go in with some pencil for the tree. I don't want to. But I don't know if I can mix a different brown, a different enough brown from these two. I suppose we could do like a grey. And you know, it's hard, folks, it's hard. It's painting malarkey, it's hard. Right, okay, so I'm just, like you can see, I'm just lifting out some nice bright white spaces on him, particularly up here. So round again where we've put those black bits, I'm just going to put little V's like underneath it, and just some little white. We can just dab it to sort of knock it down a little bit. And I'm going to make this some ruffles in here, white. Around this like frill on the neck. And on these ear rolls. So just for some fluffage like this. I'm not even going to attempt to try and go over that blue because it's just going to turn blue, so I'm not even going to try. And that'll probably tone down a lot because it'll pick up the paint, more than likely. Although it didn't do too bad on this little fella, did it? And then round the eyes there is white here as well. And here, just sort of dotting it in really. They have a little bit coming down here. Where else? Some from the off of round the beak. Pull that out anymore for any more. I think there's such a thing as overdoing things, Lucy. I have to keep saying to myself, step away, you know, does it look okay? Are you, relatively happy with it? It's never going to be perfect, is it? But step away. Okay, so I think on these trees, should we try and mix a brown before I give up? Let's mix a brown. So taking my palette again. So here we've got the Van Dyke brown, haven't we? Let's see if we can get a different brown. So Van Dyke brown, and 1, 2, 3 for Van Dyke brown. And what else can we put in there? Ooh, Van Dyke brown and sepia. Ooh, so let's do Van Dyke brown and see what happens. We can always go over with pencil, but let's drop this in this tree because we've still got his leggies to do yet. I'll do those little branches with pencil. But if we do this with Van Dyke brown and then let it dry and then do a darker spots with sepia, that might well look awesome, maybe. Then we might still have to go over with pencil, but it's all part of the process, folks. So I'm going to go off and do Van Dyke Brown round this tree. I'm just dropping it in. I'm going to try and stick to the outside edge, or where I think it would be darker, like under the owl. And then when it's dry, we'll come back and we'll put the sepia in and have a look. Alright, I'll see you in a sec. Okay, it's not dry yet, but where I've put the Van Dyke Brown in, that base coat that we initially put down is completely lost. So I'm going back in with yellow ochre and I'm going to drop that in. And I just want to, I'm literally dropping it in because I want it to look random and bark-like, if that makes any sense. I'm just going to pick out the area that I think I want lighter, or, you know, just a bit more interesting, and then just drop that yellow ochre in there, and then, you know, they'll mix together. But then I'm going to let it dry, and then we'll put the sepia in the real dark spots. I hope that makes sense. Like we do when we colour in, we'd have light and dark spots, highlights. So I'm putting that yellow ochre back in just because it got lost against that Van Dyke Brown. So I'll finish up and then we'll meet back up, put the sepia in, and I'll work out how to do the legs. See you in a sec. Right, while I'm waiting for that all to dry, I've decided that I don't think I'm going to do the sepia on it. I think it's just too risky at this point. I don't want to mess it up, and my hands are really shaky. It's probably the heat. It's very warm, but they're really shaky today. I am going to take some straight Payne's grey, not with anything else mixed in it, and I'm going to fill in this little fella's feet. And then we can detail afterwards. We're going to put Payne's grey on this little fella's feet, but we're going to bring colour down. There we go. And then we're going to take that that mix that we had for there, that what was it, Indian red and water, and we're just going to pull that down into that Payne's grey. And let the two mix. I don't want him to have Payne's grey feet. Just pull that in there like that. And then we'll do the same on this little fella. So that Indian red. And then when it's dry, we will do some pencil detail there. Okay, we could even drop in a little bit of raw sienna. Let's put in a tiny bit of raw sienna. Too much. Oh no, get off, get off. And that, folks, is when you know it's time to step the heck away. Before we have a major disaster and I have a green patch there. I can sort that out. Okay, we're dry enough down here. I think I'm going to take... oops. I think I'm going to take, if I can find it, espresso's good. Or what do we want? Let's have a piece of test paper. Do we want espresso, which is almost like black colour, or I think we'll go with espresso. And what I'm going to do is sharpen it, and we're just going to put some detail in. So, right, so like the underside, can you see? Yeah, I think we're close enough. The underside here, where this beautiful pattern is, I'm just going to pull out some of that espresso. And then I can get into all those little spaces that I couldn't get into, and I wouldn't dare try and get into with my paintbrush because my hands are just not going to play ball. Not for these tiny little bits. So around these leaves and under here, that would be darker. Another tiny little space filled. I'm just going to try and... I don't want to overwhelm it because I like the watery look, you know. But if we go round under here, under the owl I mean, and then round his claws, that will make them stand out a bit, and also it will make his feet look paler. Like that. Same for this one, round here. You can see. I'll come in just a tad. It's really hard to tell with this camera whether I'm too close or... Just going to pull that out round his foot and under him. And there where I just got that bit of lighter colour there. I'm so pleased. I absolutely love this method of colouring. I love it. I'm just, again, just going round things. And then just making bits darker. Gosh, I'm just thinking I'm starving hungry. I've had nothing to eat all day. It's 12 o'clock now, folks. So, okay. So, like round these little bits that are sticking out, I'm telling you the time just so that you know how long it's taking. I'm going to pull that dark out and then lessen it off. Round here. Just to give it a bit of dimension, and it makes it a lot darker, but then you get all these different shades that mix in together and it's just incredible. Can you hear the kites outside there? We had them last summer. They're nesting again. There's a nest. We've got like all the trees at the bottom of the garden. Well, there's a wood at the bottom of our garden, and they've nested in a tree out there, and so you can hear them screeching. They make that beautiful bird of prey sound. Well, that's a crow. Pain in the bum. Yeah, so I'm just like, if it's the rule of thumb, underneath or behind, make it darker. And then I can just tidy up that edge where I might have missed some spots, or oh, I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. It's good when I pull you in. Anyway, I'm so sorry. So I'm just like these bits, there's a little vine there, so I'm just going to make that dark, and in there, just so that these bits stand out, like here, around here. Do you know what, I just went straight in and coloured. I didn't even check to see if it was dry. You must make sure that your page is dry, because it will mess the paper up badly if you try and colour on wet paper. Okay. What a difference just that little bit of colour makes. So I'm just going to finish that off. Can't shut my palette, I'm just going to move it out of the way. I'm just going to finish that off, And then we're going to come back and we're going to put all the stars on with that white Dr. Martens. I will see you in a second. Okay folks, so just finishing touches, and what I've noticed here is that I had left some white space on the page, and I really like it, how that looks. Like the moonlight might be, or the starlight, whatever, might be hitting it. So again, white Posca. And I'm just going to pick out, like here, I'd left a little bit of white there, so I'm going to just pick out just on the bit where we've gone over with pencil, and avoid that blue sky, of course. I'm going to pick out some white bits and just highlight them, because I just think it will look really cool, like maybe there's a bit of moonlight sort of hitting it somewhere. I don't know, but it just thought it looked quite nice. And we can do some around here, maybe around these little doodads. This one's quite dark because it's in between them all. Put some here, a bit there. Just enjoying myself. Oh dear, it's been a long time since we've done a proper long colour with me, isn't it? I've had a lot of things to review and you know, things like that. So, and then obviously work, and which I now don't have to do, so I can just relax and enjoy spending time with you all. Anything else? Anywhere else? Let's put some here. And then we're going to get that. We're going to do some stars. Love doing the finishing bits. Oh, there's a page where I haven't used my Tule arts. What is going on? They seem to come out on every page I do these days. I love them. Not sponsored. I wish I was, but I'm not. Okay, that's my washing machine, if you can hear it in the background. It means it's finished. That means I've been sat here for another hour and 40 minutes. I don't care. I can't believe how quick the time passes when you're doing something like this. It's incredible, isn't it? Just how... yeah, how quickly time goes by when you're engrossed in something like this. I mean, even if that dries... even if that dries lighter, it'll still look cool. I'm just thinking, I don't know whether it'll take up any watercolour we've put on there. And as for their feet, I think I'm going to leave them alone. So, I'm dying to use this. This is brand new. I got this while I was on holiday. And you can use it over watercolour. And it won't bleed. So I'm taking my beautiful sharp brush, and Melpomeni has put some spots in, and if you know me, I'm rubbish at doing random. So I'm going to try and follow the ones I can see. You're not even on camera again, Lucy. Focus on the people. I do apologise. I'm just dotting. Oh, this stuff is good. I'm not going to do an outside bit. I know she's got bits around the outside, but I'm not going to. I could splatter. But I think enough is enough. And I think my shaky hands are going to be traumatised after doing this. What made me think using a paintbrush to do this with shaky hands was a good idea. I don't know. Honestly, the things we do. Okay. I'm trying to be careful. As you can see, it's the worst job in the world for somebody with like any kind of tremor. My mum has essential tremors, so I'm just praying that that's not something that I've inherited. So I'm going to turn my page upside down so I don't do the Lucy smudge thing, and we're going to go in here and now these will really show up because of how dark it is at the top here. I'm trying to pick out more of the light spots that I've got on the page, so it looks like they've broken through the cloud, if you get what I mean. I love this page. I absolutely love it, and considering it's mainly watercolour, that touch of pencil, just that little touch of pencil, yeah, I just love it. I wouldn't have, I'm not sure, well, it would be a lot quicker than pencil, that's for sure, just pencil on its own. But I love it. I think it's a gorgeous page. I love the colours. I think I'm just in love with nature colours, you know, and nature scenes. I just adore doing them. It's, I don't know, I found the whole thing just so relaxing and calming, and you're probably not even with me still, but I know there'll be a few of you that are still watching, but my analytics say to me like usually, oh, people stuck around for 20 minutes. Like, oh, right, okay, so I was talking to myself for like 3 hours. I'm just joking. I know a lot of you will be still here. Okay. I'm going to do some clusters to stop it looking more like snow. Okay, let's see. Turn it round. Let's have a look. I should have looked up some constellations and put them in, shouldn't I? I think I am going to leave them at that. I think it's important to step away while I can, otherwise I'm going to end up making it look like snow, and my hands are going to do the whole thing. And I'll end up with a streak of white paint that I can't get off across them. Anyway, there we go. That is my beautiful owl page. I was going to show you, wasn't I, the crinkle, is the crinkle factor. And you can see at times there was quite a bit of water. So here's the page. I'm trying to, let me zoom out a bit. Here's the page, and if I hold it at the edge. So there is a little bit of curling, but nothing that when you lay it down won't fix. You know, when you close the book won't fix. And this side is perfectly untouched. No bleed through, nothing. So you just, I knew it would be okay because of the pages I've done in Kirby's with Neos and Inktense. So yeah, I absolutely love it. I'm so excited about this new combination of watercolours and pencils. I just think they work like a dream. You can get effects that you would never ever be able to get with just pencil, like the leaves, the watermarks, you know, and just, I don't know, I just love it. It might just be me, you might be going, oh my god, it's awful, but I love it, and I'm thrilled to bits with this page. I'm really impressed with how I managed to get his eyes. Yeah, gorgeous page. Really, really excited about it, the whole prospect. If you're up for more colouring book painting, let me know. I'm going to be doing an acrylic page with my members soon. There is a page in Romantic Country, which is a title page. It's just like a landscape. It's massive, double page thing. There is no way that we are going to plough our way through that with just Prismas, so we're going to do that in acrylic. So that'd be really awesome. I've just like re-wetted my gouache because I've got that Himi gouache, which is just awful stuff, because it just, as soon as you've taken the lid off, it just dries out. And if you keep adding water to it, surely there's going to be, I don't know, I'm asking, surely there's going to be a point at which they are no longer opaque, and that's the point of a gouache, surely. I don't know. Anyway. But if you're up for more painting and colouring books, please let me know, because I love it and I'm having a blast doing it. So I'm going to go and do a little bit more housework, about 5 minutes, and then I might grab another page and have a go at another page in another book. So let me know. Thank you for joining me and listening to me ramble on and working things out when it doesn't quite work, and you know, but we get there in the end, don't we? And watercolours are very forgiving, and I think we've managed to create something really quite beautiful. Okay, my lovely friends, I'm going to let you go. So I'm gonna try and come back on a little bit more often than once a week, but I'm going to say, just in case I don't, I'll see you next week. But if I pop up, because I've got some gifts and things, and if you say you want more watercolouring, that makes it much easier for me to do. So I'm more than happy to come on and do some extra stuff like that. All right, my lovelies, have a wonderful weekend. If you've got the sunshine like I have it, enjoy it. So until we meet again in the very near future, take really good care, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.